Hey, welcome to Boricua, Utah. Here we go, the journey to Brigham with some Bigfoot stories.
A puppy. And my dad and Brandon's dad and my uncle heard us scream, and they had come around the house and met us at the top of the four-wheeler trail right behind the house that we came up and that we went down. And we were all in such a panic, and my stepmom was like, "Don't let us see what happened. Ask them. They're the ones that saw the person." And we were so out of breath, I could not get it out. And finally, I was trying to tell my dad, and Brandon goes, "This thing was in the cabin and it followed us all the way from that cabin to here." And while my dad did not know we were going there, and so he was pretty upset about that. We weren't really allowed to go back there, or my stepmom said it was fine. But so my dad, and then I started saying, "Yeah, the homeless man followed us. I just seen him down there at the bottom of the hill. He followed us." And so my dad and my uncle jumped on the floors and went riding down there. They found nothing. They didn't see where anything had ran through the woods besides us. Because we tore up the place, I'm sure. And if it did follow, it would follow right behind us, like our tracks. And we wouldn't have seen them anyways, because there's so many leaves. But they never seen anything down there. And after that, my friends, they were supposed to stay another night, and they left that night. And I remember before they left, I asked Brandon, I was like, "What did you mean by it? Like, why did you call that homeless person an it? I mean, was he just gross or something? Like, did he look bad?" And he was like, "It was not a homeless man." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, what do you mean it's not a homeless man?" And then we ate supper, and then they left at night. And they were supposed to stay another night, but whatever he seen, I think that he may have seen more of it than I did, because it scared him to death. And he, like, all the way running back, he said, "Don't look back at it, just keep going, don't turn around." But yeah, and I've never even seen them again. Like, I don't know if it was because of that they were scared, and that he told his parents, but his parents didn't tell my dad about it. So I've never seen them again. I mean, they're on my Facebook, but I've not seen them again. So that was my first actual sighting. And then around that time too, we would play hide and go seek a lot, all the time in the summertime. Like, me and all my cousins and the neighbors' kids, all night long. We would play till sometimes 2 in the morning. We were always outside doing stuff. And there was a few times, like, me and my other cousin, her and I both, like, were the best at it. And so we would stay hidden. We would find a spot and hide, and we would stay hidden until the whole game was over. Like, not together, but separately. And we would only come out if the other kids were crying or pitching a fit because they couldn't win or something like that. Well, one night, me and my cousin, we hid together, and we went up the hill onto her dad's property, because her father passed away when I was 7, she was 8. But we went up there to where her old house was, and we were up there hiding in that chicken lot. And we heard someone walking up the driveway. I think it was like almost 1 by this time. And all the other kids, they normally stay like right inside the light. We had like one of those big, tall pole lights hooked to the power there. And they normally stay like right inside the light, because they were really scared of the dark. We weren't, though. And we were sitting there, and we got really quiet because we thought that my cousin was coming up the road looking for us. It was his turn to count. And we got to looking, we couldn't see anything, but we heard someone walking up the road, because we were up above my driveway on her dad's property. We heard someone walking up the road, but we did not see it. And so she was like, "Let's scare them." She was like, let's go back up here and come down the dirt road, and then go up down your driveway, and let's meet them and scare them. So I was like, "Okay," because we could hear you, like, you could hear it plain as day walking up our driveway. And other than if you were right in that street light, it was completely dark, because there was no other lights. And so we could not see nothing. We just heard it. So we got up and we snuck up the hill and snuck down the driveway, and we come around the curve, and my cousin was like, "You do?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "We're about to scare the crap out of this kid tonight. He's probably gonna pee his britches." And so we stepped around, because it was kind of like a steep cut onto our driveway. And we come around and we jumped around because we heard it, like up until we could see, because of the way the hill was, unless you jumped out and looked down our driveway, you couldn't see around the hill. And we were walking down, and all of a sudden she grabbed my hand and we jumped around, and there was nothing there. Nothing there. And so we took off running. It scared us. And we took off running because we clearly heard something walking up the driveway. We beelined it. I mean, I was so out of breath by the time I got home because my driveway was pretty long.
This is Nikki Glazer from the Nikki Glazer podcast. Hey, so we quickly want to touch on something serious. We talked about it when it came out, but wow, that commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for Stand
That's
Up
too
All
funny.
has really stuck with me. Those two just like having it out with each other and telling each other why they hate each other. And all the
Hello,
reasons.
going
We're
to
just like,
work,
wow,
forgot
this
my
is what most
shoes.
media is based off of. Fear, insecurity,
I was gonna open
and
his
jealousy.
garage door, but
It's
my
really just
daughter
gotta stop.
opened
Too
it.
many people
not
from too many
knowing.
different groups are facing too much
That
hate
was
in our
funny,
country,
buddy.
and especially online. So join
I was
me in standing up
confused.
to all hate. If you see it, speak up, call it out. Use one of the most powerful tools there is in this fight,
Now
your
we're off.
voice. You can learn more by following @What'sUpWithHate or show your support by posting the blue square emoji and using the hashtag #StandUpToAllHate.
Kroger brand products exclusively at Smith's have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose
I
Kroger
turned
brand
around
products,
and
making it a
get my
true crowd pleaser.
And Violet came out,
They
throwing
have
away
the quality
garbage.
guaranteed you'll love your choice or
And
get
I was
rid
like,
of it.
what? I was confused.
Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Smith's, fresh
Okay.
for everyone.
A cow. A cow. That's a pretty funny name.
We were into that. All the kids were sitting there.
Alright,
This huge
going
yard. And all the kids were
To
sitting
Brigham
all
City
across,
to
like,
work,
because it was like,
and that's where a bunch of cows live. Yes, a bunch of moose.
My husband was like, "You can just walk up the driveway?" He goes, "No, I'm fine. We just had to get out here and make sure y'all
Yeah,
you
go where a bunch of
So
cows
we've been inside the house. So we've been sitting down here for 30 minutes. And yeah, no one had walked up the driveway.
So we
And
have
that's
cows
good,
right
but I don't
next
think
to
they
them.
had this for a little while because, you know, like you could
Brigham City is
clearly hear
farm
something
area.
walking and you could not see it. So that happened. And then my next actual sighting was in 2016. So, you know, growing up like the rest of my years, where we're interested in boys, going to the movies and going and hanging out. So once I got and started driving and stuff, like we weren't out all the time like we were, like we're always gone.
Yeah.
And then so 2016, my husband and I, that was the year we got
I always
married. But
forget
we
something.
moved into, no one had lived there. My parents moved out.
Starting to get my
Mom
shoes
moved out.
cocked.
They've been gone from there for a long time. And so we moved in there, no one had lived there, and we were gonna stay there while we were trying to save up to buy a house. So we lived there in 2016, and in the winter time,
Vaca,
you
moo.
know, I mean, I grew up with chickens my whole life. Like we had these certain pens that would be one chicken per pen, but there's no door on it. And so there was wood around the bottom. And it was very
No.
heavy. Like in order to take the chicken in and out of the pen,
Should I?
you would have to lift up the pen and take the chicken out.
No, thank
And I had
you.
2 dogs. Griffin, which I still have now, and my dog Chevy, who died last year. Chevy, that dog would sniff everything. She's a rat terrier mix, but I noticed,
Why
you
don't
know, when we
you?
first moved in there, Chevy acted a lot of the times. I would be in the house by myself because my husband worked late, and she would growl and stuff like that.
That's the last thing I wanna do.
It gave me a heart attack. I was telling my husband to get out. Like, Chevy's growling at the walls at night. And she did that often. And then sometimes, like, when I would go outside off there at night, and I was growing up there my whole life, and remember, I used to hear like dogs and growling, you know, other things. And a few times we were out in the woods, and she would, her nose would go out in my yard. it froze. Oh, my papa's body just froze and he just stopped moving, stopped walking. So the street light was out in our yard and it wasn't pointed up towards there. So it was just like in the shadow that I've seen it, and it had stopped in the middle of the shadow. So I could see that it was a big man like my papa, and I could see him over one of the chicken pens, which I thought was a small chicken pen at the time. And he didn't answer me. And I said, Papa, are you deaf or something? Like, I'm talking to you. Like, what are you doing out here at midnight? And he never said anything. And I said, so I walked a little closer, and it, like, he didn't move. Like, his back was towards me, and he did not move. And I said, Papa, hello? I was just trying to talk to him. He didn't say anything. So right then, I turned around, went into the house, and I told my husband, I said, Papa, he can't hear nothing lately. He was like, what do you mean? And I said, well, Papa's up there on the hill, and I was talking to him. I was trying to get his attention, like telling him, hey, you know, why are you out here at midnight? And he didn't say nothing. And Eric was like, your Papa ain't up there. He left him up there at like 9 o'clock. And I said, well, then somebody's up there stealing his stuff, because I just clearly seen someone up there. And so my husband, you know, got his stuff, his boots on. I ran right behind him, called my papa and said, hey, I just seen some chicken lot snooping around. I thought it was you. So papa comes down. We didn't see tracks. We didn't find nothing. And if someone had ran off, the dogs would have heard. The dogs would have heard, because we had Great Pyrenees, well, and they're half Marima sheepdog, and they're very smart dogs, and nothing could really touch our stuff when they were down at our house, because they're very smart, and they smell air, feel it moving. And then, like, it wasn't even until later on that I realized exactly what I saw. And so the next day I went up there, and it was like one of the small, like 3x5 dog kennels. They're, I guess it's like 4 or 5 foot tall, but I've seen this thing at least 4 feet over that dog kennel. And then I realized, like, thinking back on it, and this was a few years later, I realized what I had seen, because it just popped, it just stopped. I guess it could not believe that I was out there, and I guess the only thing it thought it could do was just stand in that shadow to where I could not see it, even though I did see it. But yeah, there was no footprints left or nothing. Stuff was still going missing all the time. So I'm gonna go back a little ways, because I just reminded myself about my dogs. So about the time we saw the one at the cabin, we had Great Pyrenees Marimas, and my dad raised them. And at the time we had 5 of them. It was so crazy because we also had coyotes. We had coyotes down, and they would try to come up and eat the chickens and stuff. Well, there was a few nights in particular, like the dogs, they slept under the trailer. They slept under my bedroom because they could get up underneath the trailer because it was cold. It was in the wintertime. And so they would sleep up underneath my bedroom. And I would know, I heard them, like I would know when there was something out in the yard because they'd go tearing out from underneath my room and keep me up all night. Well, there was many nights, I mean, I can't even tell you the nights, where, you know, coyotes are smart. They're very smart. But these coyotes, which I don't know, now looking back, like, I don't believe that it's coyotes. I believe that there's a family there that live there. Because what they would do is, because the dogs were so smart, and the one dog, Leonidas, he was huge. He looked like a lion. He weighed like 150 pounds. He was a huge dog. He was the leader of their pack. And there's another male, and there's 3 females, and they're all huge. But what would happen was, like, some of them would make a noise, like, down behind the house. Yells, like a coyote. Would do it, like, up above the house. So what they would try to do is all of the dogs to go after one of the voices to where something can come on the other side. It was like a distraction. But the dogs were so smart, they would split up. And they would split up, and like nothing went missing out of our yard for like almost 3 years. I mean, nothing. Nothing went missing. And it wasn't until, so Leonidas, at first we thought that someone shot him. He just disappeared one day. Like they all ran off. And he never came back home. Then after that, we get one away or up there, and my uncle would take some of his, because he lived above us, like at the beginning of the road almost, and he had chickens too. So my dad was with his dog to train them well. So we took some up there. So there wasn't as many dogs that guarded my dad's stuff anymore. And then like it was almost as soon as Leah and I went missing, stuff would go missing again. And I know there's one night picking up the dog from Coyote, so my baby sister, she was a wild little mess, and we used to stand up on the power line and we would call out coyotes.
This is Nikki Glazer from the Nikki Glazer podcast. Hey, so we quickly want to touch on something serious. We talked about it when it came out, but wow, that commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for Stand Up Tall Hate has really stuck with me. Those two just like having it out with each other and telling each other why they hate each other and all the reasons. You're just like, wow, this is what most hate is based off of. Fear, insecurity, and jealousy. It's really just gotta stop. Too many people from too many different groups are facing too much hate in our country, and especially online. So join me in standing up to all hate. If you see it, speak up, call it out. Use one of the most powerful tools there is in this fight, your voice. You can learn more by following at What's Up With Hate, or show your support by posting a blue square emoji and using the hashtag #StandUpToAllHate.
The brand products exclusively at Smith's have a great taste you'll sell.
Exactly like what she said to a T. And I looked at my dad, I was like, that ain't not no coyote. And we all just kind of stood there, but my dad had never said anything to us about Bigfoot or nothing like that. We had no idea. I didn't even know what that was. I think probably when I was in my later teens, I watched Monster Quest about Bigfoot, I think is what it was called. So this noise came out of the woods, and it was exactly to a T the same noise that my little sister made. And so it scared us pretty bad, and my dad just kind of looked around. He's like, let's just go in the house, He was scared, like, it even scared my dad. He was like, what in the world? And so we went in the house, and then a few other things, like, just stuff would go missing and stuff like that. Okay, well, before my husband and I moved back into the house, this was probably in 2015. This is when I had heard them talk. So I had moved out on my own, and then it didn't work out, and I had to come back home, but my grandpa had rented out the trailer, so I couldn't go live in the trailer. And so my uncle, which is up above my nanny papa's, beginning of the dirt road almost, he let me live above his garage in his house he had just built. And so also living there, it was his girlfriend and her two kids, and she had a little girl. She was my cousin Madison. She was about 7 or 8, and then her brother was about 16. And at this time, I worked at a restaurant, and it was a Mexican restaurant, and I would not get home sometimes, and I would work a double until like 1 or 2 in the morning, especially on the weekends. I would have to clean up and stuff. Well, I had my dog at this time. I had Geronimo and Chevy, and nothing had ever really scared me at night. Like, I think I lived there for a month or two before I got scared. And so my Jeep, I had a 93 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it was kind of loud. And so I rolled up one night, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I got out of my car, and I just had this, like, it was like the same feeling that I had when it was looking at me through the window, or when I had to shut the window. And I stepped out of my car, and I just froze with fear. Like, this just came over me, like I was so scared. I'm kind of shaking right now talking about it. This scared, I think it was pitch black because my Uncle David was like a penny pincher on the power bill, and the floodlights ran up the power bill, so he would not leave any of the lights on for me. And so I could not see a foot in front of my face. It was so dark up there. And I stepped out of my Jeep, and this just came over me, and I just froze. And I could not hear chickens. I couldn't hear nothing. And I just started praying. It scared me so bad because I was so, like, it's like this fear just was like, you do not come around here. Because I would have to, he would lock the front door. So I would have to walk around his big old house and go through the back of the garage. And my room was up above it. And it was just like telling me, like, do not come around here. Do not come around here. But I had to get in, like I couldn't go anywhere else. So I just started praying, and then all of a sudden, because he had two Marimas, Chief and Chloe would be at my papa's, like right down the road. I mean, you could throw a rock and hit my grandpa's house. And, you know, because they used to be my dogs before I moved out and my parents moved. So I just yelled really loud. I yelled for Chief because I knew, because normally when I would pull up there, my uncle's dogs, he had a few dogs up there, Mara and I can't remember the other one's names because they died. I can't remember, but he's had so many dogs. And Chloe, a girl was her name. I called her Chloe, that was her name, but my papa and everybody else would call her girl. But I yelled Chief, which was Leonidas' son. I yelled for him. Like, that's the only thing I thought to do. And when I did, then all the dogs went nuts. They all went nuts. And then I just felt that just leave. It was like it just like left my body or something. Like I felt like I could walk around there. Because these dogs, you know, they're like my protectors. So I held on to Chief's mane. And I walked him around to the back. And then went in the house. Or went in the garage and then like ran out my room. And locked the door behind me. And before I lived there was no lock on the door, so I had to buy a lock and put on there. And so this was in the winter time again. It was like early January when this happened, or when this stuff first started happening. And it did happen until like 6 in the morning, some nights. And I would have my window open if it got caught. There was a window facing the driveway, and then right behind, like where my bed was, facing out the backyard. And I got off the phone with my boyfriend at the time that night, and I heard someone in the backyard talking. I was like, what in the world? Like, I could hear the dogs growling, and I could hear someone talking. And my first thought was, because the person who my papa had rented the house I grew up in, the trailer to, they were crazy, and the man was on drugs. Papa had to evict them and stuff. It was terrible. But my first thought was, that dang Joe's up here trying to mess with my Uncle David's stuff. So I went to the window and I said, hey, you better get out of here. My Uncle David wakes up, your butt's gonna be in trouble. And then the dogs like went nuts. The dogs were barking again, you know, I woke the whole house up. I told my Uncle David, I was like, there's somebody, I'm pretty sure Joe was out here in the backyard. And so a few days went by. Well, there was 2 nights in particular, I heard someone, so the door that comes through the garage that I would use to come in the house, we didn't lock it because that's how I got in and out. Well, one night I just come in, and it was like after the first time I was like almost paralyzed, couldn't move, and I was scared to death. Every night, like if I would come up the driveway, I would call the dogs. When I would first pull them off the driveway, I would call Chief up from my papa's house and have him out when I would get out to go in the house. And there was still many nights, I was scared, like many nights. I was scared after that. That one time ruined me. And then, but every other time I would feel like there was something watching me. Well, one night it was like 1 in the morning. I just got home and went up the stairs. And as soon as I would get home, I would let my dogs out. And so I'd come back down the stairs, flip the light on, let my dog out, both of them, and then I'd bring him in and then walk back up. Well, when I wouldn't, this is funny, but I was so scared that I would because it was like a bunch of stairs, you had to walk up to the top above the garage, and the light switch for the garage lights would kill me if I left them on. So I would run into my bedroom, and then open the door really quick and shut the lights on really fast, and then run back up and lock my door and run back upstairs because I was scared. And so one night, right after I did that, it was probably 15 minutes after this happened, after I had done that, I heard the door open. Something opened the door, come around, and twisted my doorknob 3 times. And it scared me to death. I just started praying. I literally started praying. And I didn't know what else to do. It scared me so bad. I told my uncle about it. He was like, we're just hearing things, there ain't nothing out here gonna mess with you. They know I'd shoot them. I said, well, you sleep through everything. How are you gonna shoot somebody when you're asleep? I didn't have a gun or anything like that. I was scared to death. There's a few nights that I didn't, right after that, there was a few nights I stayed at my local house because I was scared. Because they tried to come in my room. And so, my cousin, he was 16 and he would play Xbox all night long. Well, one night, okay, this is during the time my uncle had left and went on vacation for a week and went to Oklahoma. And he took the key to his lawnmower and stuff, and younger, juvenile, they try to be funny. And a lot of stuff happened there this week because my Uncle David was not there. So the first night, I had just come in. This time it was almost 2. There was Thirsty Thursday or something is what the restaurant called it, and all the college kids had come, and some of them would be there till 1 in the morning, and then we would have to clean. So it was almost 2 when I got home, and I knew my Uncle David was at home, and I told my cousin Tristan, I told him what had been going on, and he was normally up, so he was like, well, text me when you're about to be home, and I'll make sure I'll come downstairs, and so you can come in the house, I'll meet you at the garage door. And I said, okay, because I was scared to death, especially about my Uncle David.
This is Nikki Glazer from the Nikki Glazer Podcast. Hey, so we quickly want to touch on something serious. We talked about it when it came out, but wow, that commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for Stand Up to All Hate has really stuck with me. Those two just having it out with each other and telling each other why they hate each other and all the reasons. You're just wow, this is what most hate is based off of. Fear, insecurity, and jealousy. It's really just gotta stop. Too many people from too many different groups are facing too much hate in our country, and especially online. So join me in standing up to all hate. If you see it, speak up, call it out. Use one of the most powerful tools there is in this fight, your voice. You can learn more by following @What'sUpWithHate or show your support by posting the blue square emoji and using the hashtag #StandUpToAllHate.
Kroger brand products exclusively at Smith's have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Smith's, fresh for everyone.
The holidays are over again. The kids are back in school, work schedules are full, and winter weather makes the roads more dangerous than ever. If you've been injured in an accident due to another driver's negligence, you don't have to face the aftermath alone. Call the injury attorney. Don't wait. Call 801-355-5550 or chat online 24/7 at UtahAdvocates.com. You deserve an advocate.
And so I come in the house, I met Tristan at the garage, and
Getting a drink.
I went upstairs and he went back to his room. Well, no sooner than I got upstairs, changed my clothes, there was a lawnmower, because it was the second story my room was above the garage. And directly below my back window was my Uncle David's zero turn. And That thing, my uncle had took the belt. He left the keys in it, but he took something off of it, so you could crank it, but you couldn't take it anywhere. So it just like crunk up, like out of nowhere, and I was just like, "What in the world?" And as soon as that happened, because my window was open, it was starting to get a little bit warm, and so I be like out of my bedroom, ran in the house. My aunt, she had then woke up. And I was like, I've told y'all there's somebody out here messing around. And at this time, I still did not think that I still had not heard anything about a Bigfoot or anything. I had no clue that's what that was. And so we flipped all the lights on. So all the kids come running downstairs. I think my cousin had a few friends over. And we just started flipping on all the floodlights. And it was still running, but there was nothing. There was nothing out there, and the dogs were just like, didn't move. So if it was somebody, like if it was the neighbor down there, they did not like him. They would have attacked him if he would have come into the yard. So we were just like, what in the world? So my aunt called my uncle and told him what happened, and so immediately, like, we thought it was a neighbor down there trying to come up to the house and steal stuff. But David had took something off. So I told him, I was like, I told you there was something out here. Well, after that happened, I think I had taken a week off or something. I can't remember. But one night I was laying in my bed and I heard something outside. I heard someone talking again because I had my window open. Well, I called my cousin and I said, hey, there's someone outside talking. And no one believes me. And my uncle was back home at this time. I was like, I want you to come. So we met. So my door was like about a foot or two from the door that actually went into the house. So I said, on the count of 3, we're going to open our doors and see each other, and then you're going to come in here, and I'm going to let you hear this out here. So we did that. So looking back now, it was so funny. We swung our doors open, and we could see each other, but we were both scared to death. And so I was like, come here. I was like, there's someone outside talking, and we were whispering. So we crept up my stairs, and I was trying to keep my dogs quiet. And we both knelt down at my window, and Tristan was like, I hear it. Well, we could not see who was talking. And there was like a building out there, and like, but we could hear it. It was like just in the wood line where all the shadows were, and like the moon was full this night, but we could not see who was talking. But it didn't sound like a human talking. Like it was talking, but we couldn't understand what they were saying. And it was more than one voice. And like we were like scared. I think he was we were holding hands, like we were scared to death. And we were just looking and watching, and well, Girl, or the dog Girl, they clearly said Girl. They were calling the dogs. They were talking to the dogs. Okay? And I was just like, what the heck? And it was a male voice. But all we could understand it saying was Girl. It was like, I can't even describe it, but we could clearly heard it say Girl. But everything else was like gibberish or something. We couldn't understand what else it was saying. And my cousin was like, that dang Joe down there, he's geeking out or something, and he can't even talk. And I was like, shut up, just listen. And we were looking, but she was looking around this building. We could not see what she was looking at. Well, all of a sudden, I heard something from the left. Because down, like on the left side of the house was a chicken house. And there was all kinds of hens in there and other roosters. But all the nesting boxes where my uncle would hatch out baby chicks and stuff was down in that chicken house, like 30 feet off the left side of the house. Well, I heard something. And I was like, listen. And we were listening, and he was like, oh my God, I can still hear they're just trying to distract the dogs. So we were like, oh my God. And my uncle, he's a hard sleeper, and he did not wake him up because he had to get up early for work, and he would have killed us if there wouldn't have been something. So we crept down my stairs, crept out my door, went into the house. We woke up his mom. And we're like, listen, there's someone in the backyard. And so from the windows down in the living room, we could see Girl and Chief and Mara. All three of them were there now. And something was talking to the dogs. But the way the shadow was, we could not see what was talking to them. It was in the shadows. And I'm like, look, we were telling my aunt, like, look, like, we're not crazy. Like, we've been hearing someone out here talking to these dogs. They're trying to distract them. Well, there's windows everywhere. So we heard something again down in the barn. And the dogs, they would look at the barn and then it would say Girl's name again. So then they would look back at it. And so I was like, let's go look at the dining room. Because all the sheets were open, or the plastic was up, because it's starting to get warm. And so you could see right down into the chicken house. So we're standing there, and there's a radio. And my uncle left the radio on all the time because wherever he would take the chickens to shows, like, it would be really loud. And he wanted the chickens used to loud noise. And the blue light from the power button, it was like one of those old, like, big radios. And it was very bright, and you could see. Well, my aunt is who's seen it first. She said something is moving down there in the chicken house. And we were all like, oh my God. And it was. Like, something was crawling around on the ground, getting in those nesting boxes where there's eggs. And she was like, I'm going to go wake up David. So she went in there, and she woke him up, and we're like, look, there's someone out here. He was like, ah. And she was like, shut up and come here and look. We showed him the dogs. The dogs are still around that barn, you know, looking around that building. But all of their hair was up, their tails were straight out, their ears were straight up, and they were growling. Like, you could hear Chief growling. And so we walked in my uncle over there to the dining room, and he seen something moving around. And we're like, told you, Evan, told you. And he went in there and got his shotgun. And he said, I'm going to walk out here, out the front door, and y'all stay right here. And he told us to open up the dining room window. And they were very quiet windows, so you could hear them opening. And he said, I'm going to give these people to the count of 3 to show themselves, or I'm going to threaten to shoot them. So he told us he got around, he went off the porch and got around there. And I mean, he was right in the dining room window. And he said, are the dogs still looking around that building? And it was still moving down there, like crawling around. We could still see it moving as we walked outside. He said, when I count to 3, when I tell y'all to, y'all flip on all the floodlights. I mean, they're like $5 floodlights. And you could see everything with these floodlights. And so my uncle, he yells, I'm going to give you to the count of 3 to get off my property and show yourselves, because if you don't, I'm going to blow a hole through you. Well, as soon as he spoke, the dogs started raising hay, and they beelined it around the house to where he was. And whatever was down there moving in the chicken house just froze. And he said, I'm going to count to 3, and I'm going to try to flip the lights on.
This is Nikki Glazer from the Nikki Glazer Podcast. Hey, so we quickly want to touch on something serious. We talked about it when it came out, but wow, that commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for Stand Up to All Hate has really stuck with me. Those two just like having it out with each other and telling each other why they hate each other and all the reasons, you're just like, wow, this is what most hate is based off of. Fear, insecurity, and jealousy. It's really just gotta stop. Too many people from too many different groups are facing too much hate in our country, and especially online. So join me in standing up to all hate. If you see it, speak up, call it out. Use one of the most powerful tools there is in this fight, your voice. You can learn more by following @What'sUpWithHate or show your support by posting the blue square emoji and using the hashtag #StandUpToAllHate.
Kroger brand products exclusively at Smith's have the great taste you'll celebrate.
Give me
That's why over
one
40
sec.
million
He hung up on me. Rude. Rude. Hanging up on me.
And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back.
Doesn't even look at his
Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Smith.
Rude.
You deserve an advocate.
So, and so he's like, 1. And he did it out loud. He was like, 1, 2. And he like cocked it. And when he did, we seen that thing jump up and start running. It was all the way like it had a little ways to go out the chicken house. It wasn't like at the front of it. He was like, flip the lights on. So we flipped the lights on. And then it ran so fast that by the time he said 3 and flipped the lights on for it to start running, we didn't catch it. We didn't see it after that. And there was no, like, on that side of the chicken house was woods. Like, it was a little ways to the woods, but it was pitch dark. Even with the floodlights, like, you couldn't see past the chicken house. And the dogs, like, it outran the dogs. It outran, the light. And it scared his mom. So David was like, oh my gosh. And so he's like, there is no way that somebody ran that fast to get out of the light. And so he went, and then I went with him. We were running down there, and there's no footprints. There was nothing. And after a few days after that, for a few weeks, I was going to shoot him, which he probably wouldn't have, but nothing really happened after that. But I can still hear that to this day, like hear him saying girl. Like I could hear the talking, like the gibberish, and them saying girl. And well, I know, like the day after that, we had went down there to see if what's his name was down there, because that first mile flight was him, but he wasn't even there. He wasn't there that day or that night. His wife said that he had been gone for a few days, and so a few weeks after that, I moved out, and that was one of the last things that's ever happened on the dirt road where I lived and grew up. My family still lives there. But so my husband and I bought our house in 2018, and it's on the outskirts of Lumpkin County, and we have a pond and like almost 7 acres. And I was pregnant when we first moved in here, and we had lived here. We bought it in September, and this was like April, and I was due at the beginning of May, so I was huge. And we had 3 dogs at this time. We still had my dog Chevy, and then my dog Griffin, which I still have now. And we had a German Jag Terrier, which is a hunting dog named Pistol. And when we first moved in here, my husband would tell me bears smell terrible. Like if there's a bear out here, it smells terrible. Well, I was walking the dogs. When we first moved here, I had to walk Griffin and Pistol on a leash because they'd run off. And, we were new to the place, and I didn't want someone to kill them or them get ran over. And we walked out, and I could smell something. It was the most awful smell I've ever smelled in my life. And so where our house is, like our house butts up to like 100 acres that no one lives on. And then like across the road from us, there's people who live up there. But it's really, there's probably no one that lives here, and it's very quiet. And it's out in the middle of nowhere. Like it takes us almost 20 minutes just to get to town. And I went running in the house, and I said, Eric, there's a bear out here. He's like, what do you mean there's a bear out here? I said, it smells terrible, like there's something out here that stinks. It was like he knocked me down. He was like, take him outside. And he said, yeah, I smell it. Well, he went to shining lights, and we heard something walking off down into the woods. And to this day, like my husband is such a mess. People will swear that he did not. But he said, dang, that sounds like somebody walking. That sounds like someone walking on 2 feet. And I said, I know. But now he says he didn't say that, but he did say that. But it was walking off, and there was 2 different sets walking off from us. And at this time I worked at a veterinary hospital, and I would have to be there at 6:30, and it would take me 45 minutes to get there. So I was like up and getting ready at 5 in the morning. and it's not early. I think it was like 4:30 when I would get up. Well, I was running a little late this morning, and I think it was 5:45. I think it was like the third week we had lived there, and there, like, we have a gravel road. It goes like all the way around our property, and then it cuts down behind our big back porch. So we have two big porches, and somebody was staying at our house, and so there was two other cars, and our friend, his truck was jacked up, and he was parked like right next to a porch, and the porch was a lot higher than the truck. It's a huge porch. And I'm putting out, what I would do is I would let the dogs out, walk the dogs for a second, come in, grab my lunchbox and stuff, and load it on the passenger side, and then walk around to the driver's side. So I did that morning, and as I was putting my stuff in the passenger seat, like, our gravel, it's not fresh gravel. So in order for you to pick up gravel, you have to be really heavy. And I'm standing there, and I heard someone walking, and they were picking up gravel as they were walking. And it scared me so bad. My big pregnant butt, well, I wasn't that big yet. This was in October. I jumped in the passenger seat. It scared me so bad. I slammed my door and locked all the doors. And then I climbed over the middle of my car to get the driver's seat. And I told Eric, I told him on my lunch break, I said, somebody was walking around the house this morning, and it scared me to death. And he was like, no, it was probably some kind of little raccoon or something. And I was like, no. Our gravel is packed down. You can't just kick gravel on our driveway. Like, force has to be made to move the gravel. So that happened. And then in December, like, my husband got a smoker, and we were learning how to smoke and eat and stuff. So we would be out on our big back porch, like, until 3 or 4 in the morning. And two, with me being pregnant, like, I would get up, like, all throughout the night and go sit on the back porch. Well, this one particular night, I think it was like Christmas Eve, like, we were smoking something. It was 3 in the morning, and my husband had come in to go to the bathroom, and I was just sitting out there by myself. And I sing, and I sing all the time. And I was just sitting out there on the porch, and I was singing, like, I think I was singing like a Christmas carol or something. And I heard like this loud whistle, like, come down, because we have a big pond, and we have like 2 creeks, like the creek comes down and meets the big creek. And it was like down towards the creek, but it was like probably like 50 foot from the porch, like this loud whistle, and it scared me to death. I about peed my pants. And so I ran into the house. I was like, Eric, someone's out here that just whistled at me. And he was like, what? He was like, I think your pregnant brain is getting to you. Like, there ain't nobody out here. It's 3 in the morning. And I said, yes, there is. They just whistled at me. And so that's happened a few times since then. And then there's a few nights, because then I really started listening to like Bigfoot podcasts and stuff. And I told my husband, I would tell him about all the stuff that I'd seen and all this, and he just would think I was crazy. Well, one day we were standing out there, and I swear to you, and he heard it too, and I know he did, but he denies it. We heard wood knocking, like in the field across the creek from my house. And he will say he did not, but yes, he did, because he said something to me first. Because the first time I heard it, I didn't say anything about it. And then it happened again, and he was like, oh my God, you hear that? I said, I told you they were here. I told you there was Bigfoot here. And he was like, I don't know what that is. I've never heard that before, but it was wood knocking. And he tried to act, and then now he acts like he didn't hear it. But so this next encounter is when I heard them talking here at our house now. And so this was in April, and a few things have happened. Like, none of our animals have went missing or anything, but we've heard like bipedal footsteps like walk off into the woods. Well, somebody has been coming here, and one day we happened to be home, and this four-wheeler comes flying up, and they see we're home, and they turned around, and my husband went and met him and was like, hey man, this is private property, and he said he was coming to fish. Well, my husband was like, I don't care if you come and fish, but please let us know, like, come knock on the door and say, hey, can I fish? Because it's kind of rude to just show up on someone's property and fish their pond without even knowing them and asking if you can fish. And so this was like the week after that happened. This was in April, and I was big pregnant. Like, I can tell, when I walked, I was like waddling. That's how big I was. And so it had just broke daylight, and I had let the dogs out, and I'm standing on the porch, because I didn't really like walking far from the house because who knows if I was going to labor or something, like walking. Well, I heard someone talking on the back side of the pond, and my first thought was, I cannot believe these jokers have done come here and try to fish our pond without asking. So I waddle my big self off the porch, and I'm like taking off, and I get to the dam, and the dogs, my dog Pistol, her ears are like straight up, and I can still hear them talking. But I can't understand. It's like gibberish. Like I could not understand what they were saying, but it was two voices, and they were very deep and guttural. But it was like gibberish. Like I couldn't understand what they were saying.
This is Nikki Glazer from the Nikki Glazer podcast. Hey, so we quickly want to touch on something serious. We talked about it when it came out, but wow, that commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for Stand Up to All Hate has really stuck with me. Those two just like having it out with each other and telling each other why they hate each other and all the reasons, you're just like, wow, this is what most hate is based off of. Fear, insecurity, and jealousy. It's really just gotta stop. Too many people from too many different groups are facing too much hate in our country, and especially online. So join me in standing up to all hate. If you see it, speak up, call it out. Use one of the most powerful tools there is in this fight, your voice. You can learn more by following @What'sUpWithHate or show your support by posting the blue square emoji and using the hashtag #StandUpToAllHate.
Kroger brand products exclusively at Smith's have the great taste you'll celebrate. That's why over 40 million people choose Kroger brand products, making them a true crowd pleaser. And with quality guaranteed, you'll love your choice or get your money back. Score Kroger brand products with savings you can cheer for and great taste you can't resist. Smith's, fresh for everyone.
This year, make a resolution to get the best deal on your new Mazda. It's easy. Or someone else drives it.
Noise lets out. I mean, I had never heard nothing. It was
This is
so
done. It's
loud.
going
I'm
off.
pretty sure that I did see my hands. And that's what people say, and it's kind of embarrassing. But it scared me to death. Like, it was the loudest noise I've ever heard in my entire life. And then as soon as that happened, the same exact noise come from back behind our house. And I about killed myself trying to get up into the house. I peed myself. It scared me so bad. My dog was ahead of me, and they beat me to the house. It scared them so bad. And I peed myself. I'm running, and it's funny now, but I was running into the house, and my husband, I said, Eric, there is something out here. And he was like, what do you mean? I couldn't even hardly breathe. I was like trying to explain to him, and he went running out the house with his gun and stuff, and no tracks, no nothing. And after that, it scared me so bad. And then knowing I'm gonna have, our little girl, I pray over our house every night, because who knows? Like, I've heard so many stories about them taking children and stuff like that, and I just pray over our house every night. And there's only been a few things happen since then, and then there was another time it was like early in the morning. And so my dad and my stepmom, they lived with us for a little while, for about 2 weeks before they moved into their new house. This was back in February of this year, 2021. And I told them, like, because after researching and listening to people's stories, I understood that they are here. I would pray for our animals, and thank God, like, they've not touched their animal for nothing, but I know that the nighttime is their time. So we try not to be out there. And even though my husband doesn't believe in them, he still doesn't go out, like, in the middle of the night. Because I told him, like, that's their time. Like, if they're here, they're still here. Like, that's their time to do things. Like, and we would be on their time messing with them. So I told my stepmom and her mother that they would go out all hours of the night and smoke cigarettes out on our porch. And I knew that they did that. I mean, the first night they were here, I said, listen. I was like, I don't care if you don't believe or whatever. I said, I'm just going to tell you. Sometimes strange things happen here. I've told my family about the things I've heard and seen, and they all think I'm crazy, but I told my stepmom that, listen, if you hear stuff, like, don't go watch the house. Like, if you want to go out there and walk around that's fine. I was like, but I would not go off the porch for one, because, I mean, they know who lives here. Two, it's their time. And when I told her this, like, her eyes got really big, and she was looked at me like I was a freaking idiot. And I was like, listen, like, I don't care if you don't believe me, I'm just warning you. Like, if you go out at 3 o'clock in the morning and you hear something, like, I'm just warning you. Like, you may hear something. I was like, we don't go out at night. Or out, that long at night, that early in the morning. It was literally the second day they were here. The next morning I got up, and my stepmom was like, I heard something last night. And I was like, what? She was like, I was out on the front porch smoking, and it was like almost 4 in the morning, and I heard something like let out this really loud noise, like across, because she had stepped off the porch, and she was like, I guess, I don't know, talking to I had some kittens that I was training to stay out in the yard, and I hadn't gotten them fixed yet, so I kept them in a kennel, a dog kennel, with chicken wire around the bottom where they couldn't get out until they were old enough for me to get them spayed and neutered. And she had stepped off the porch, and she had started talking to these kittens and petting the kittens, and that's when she heard it, and it scared her to death. And she said she about feared it to come right in the house, and I said, well, I told you you would probably hear something. And I mean, now they don't think I'm crazy, but Eric was like, oh, he didn't hear nothing, So I had another experience in Lumpkin County that wasn't on the property that I grew up in or at my house now. I was hunting. This was in 2014, early 2015. I was hunting with a boyfriend, and we were over off of Highway 52, and it's very remote over there, and we were hunting. And this is the first time I've ever went hunting with him. And I had been hunting, all my life, doing all kinds of stuff. But we were down in it was like a made, like deer blind. It was made out of wood, and there were 2 chairs in there. And we were right on the edge of a creek. And it took us about 25 minutes to walk back in there because we had to park the truck. And he didn't have a four-wheeler at the time, so we had to park the truck and walk down in there. And so it took us forever to walk down there, but we finally got there. And we were sitting in there, and I think we got there about like 2:30, and we were going to stay there until dark. And we've been sitting there for probably, I think it was about 4:30. So about 2.5 hours, 2 hours. And I started smelling like this terrible smell. And I looked at him and I said, did you crap your pants or something? What is that smell? And he was like, no, did you? I said, no. And where we were, there should have been deer everywhere. On that road, there's deer that come past through there. I mean, people hit them all the time. And so, like, where we were was a really good spot. And so we had, like, the whole 2.5 hours we sat there, we had not heard a squirrel. We had not heard anything. Birds, nothing. And, but which was really odd to me because I've been hunting a few times, and I mean, you hear all kinds of stuff. We hadn't heard nothing. And so the smell came up, and I was thinking in my mind, I was like, how in the world did something get that close to us that smelled that bad without us seeing it? And so I was trying to be really quiet because I'm kind of talkative, and I was trying not to talk, and I honestly was getting bored. And I was telling him, I was like, how did something get that close to us without us seeing it? And see, right across the creek was about 15 foot wide. And right across the creek was a thicket, like a briar thicket. And there was still some pines over there that were still green. But the briar thicket was so dense, like you couldn't see through it. So, like, I mean, you could see over the top of it, but you couldn't see through it for nothing. And we were both sitting there talking, and he's like, I haven't heard nothing. He's like, normally you hear squirrels and stuff, and we haven't even heard. Have you heard anything? And I said, obviously not. So we're sitting there, and the smell, I mean, it was just overwhelming. Like, I almost got sick. It was so bad. And he was like, bears, they smell really bad. And I said, well, I've been around bears. I don't ever smell them that bad. I was like, but too, where is it at? If it's just a bear, where is it? Why can't we see it? Why didn't we hear it walk up? Because, I mean, they're stealthy, but they're not that stealthy especially with nothing in the woods making a noise. There's no way a bear got that close to us without us hearing it. And so now I'm kind of freaking out, and I think he is too. But he's not saying anything, you know. He's trying to be like all macho, and you know, trying not to be scared because she doesn't want to make me think that he's a sissy or something. And so it's starting to get dark, and I said, I really gotta go to the bathroom. I was like, I gotta pee. I was like, I'm ready to go. And I was like, are you ready to go? He said, yeah, I've been ready to go. I just didn't know if you were dead or not. And so I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. So now it's like dark because as we're coming out, and like in North Georgia, where these mountains, like if you're in the middle of the woods, when it gets dark at nighttime, like in the middle of the woods, I mean, it is dark. You can't see nothing. So we got out of the blind, but we're still being quiet. She's like, listen, we may see one walking out of here. It'll take us about 25, 30 minutes to get even to the truck. And he's like, just be real quiet. And so he was in front of me, and he had the gun, and I was standing up. It was a rifle. And it's so funny because I don't even think he's been hunting that much because I don't even know, you know what I mean? I don't even know if he really knew what he was doing, but he was just trying to impress me. And it wasn't a high-powered rifle or nothing. It was just like, I think it was a 22 or something, or like a 17, which I know a lot more about guns now, but I can't remember what it was. I just know it was not high-powered. So whatever this was, it would have done nothing to it in the first place. So we get out and we're walking, and we have to walk down the creek. And so you can hear the creek, you know, you can hear it moving, the water moving. And we're walking up, and then we have to cut up to the left to get to the road, like it's an old logging trail.
This is Nikki Glazer from the Nikki Glazer podcast. Hey, so we quickly want to touch on something serious. We talked about it when it came out, but wow, that commercial with Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg for Stand Up to All Hate has really stuck with me. Those two just like having it out with each other and telling each other why they hate each other and all the reasons. You're just like, wow, this is what most hate is based off of. Fear, insecurity, and jealousy. It's really just gotta stop. Too many people from too many different groups are facing too much hate in our country, and especially you can learn more,
making them a true crowd pleaser for everyone.
That's the CX-5.
Logging trail, like, I mean, it just fell dark so fast. I mean, you couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. And he had a flashlight, and I had a flashlight too. So I was like, listen, sometimes you can see better at night without the lights on. You can, like, you can see, like, if your eyes are just, you can see.
Get my eyes. This is where I'm shutting it off. Bye.